Sorry for that, folks. But I am dedicated to coming online every night to try and do my bit to help people out there struggling. I am scared in many respects to see the economic downturn that's being imposed on the economy, and I worry that the effects of coronavirus aren't just going to be the sad reality of people getting sick, but long-term serious poverty and economic devastation that will last for decades. Now, of course, we must all stay in, stay safe, and not get sick. That's priority. But I think while we're doing that, there is an opportunity to reflect on what we want in life. I'm going to call it from a business perspective, but really from a life perspective too. I personally believe that moments like this come along as a test, as an opportunity to perhaps do something different, to think differently about what you really want out of life, what's important in life. And I feel I have a particular set of skills, which always makes me think of a particular movie when I ever say that sort of phrase, but I have a particular set of skills that I've crafted over a long period of time, again, accidentally slightly quoting the Taken movie thing. But I personally believe that my experience in business over the last 2 decades is really useful and relevant to a lot of people right now. I've built 17 companies from scratch. 13 of those companies I started with zero money, and many of them turned into multi-million pound companies. And so one of my last companies was an agency called HQed, which I built from zero in 2001. And in 2016, I sold it to the accounts company PwC for more money than I actually deserve. And I have been through SARS with that company in 2003, which was kind of coronavirus 1.0. And I saw what happened in Hong Kong at that time, the good and the bad. There was 4 months there where basically the whole economy shut down. My whole business suddenly was put in jeopardy during that time. And we actually came out, my agency HQed actually came out of that virus stronger, better and bigger because we innovated, because we thought differently. Many companies during that time in 2003 in Hong Kong folded. We didn't. We grew by 300%. And the reason we grew is because we thought differently. And I feel like today I have the experience and knowledge to help a lot of small businesses, medium-sized businesses, get through this through thinking differently. So my idea is to come online every night for an hour and help anybody out there that might be struggling. What I'm getting is a lot of questions during the day as well, which I'm going to also try and address this evening in the live broadcast. But I really want to be available to help anybody out there that might be struggling. Now, I understand that it's not easy for people to come online and ask a question or even articulate that question. So if you don't feel like leaving a comment, then you can also reach me through my website, simonscribb.com, and send me a private message. I got 162 emails today. I'm proud that I responded to every single one of those emails, helping those inquiries get through this difficult time. And so if you know anyone that's got a small business that might be struggling right now, feel free to share this broadcast with them. And let's spend an hour together tonight trying to help small businesses and entrepreneurs fight back. I also want to spend time encouraging people to start a business of their own. I know a lot of people don't think they're able to start a business of their own, but you can. Again, my experience might be relevant. I left school and home at 15 years old and started a company. I had no money, I had near zero education, I had no network, and I managed to make it. And I made it because I was hungry. But it doesn't mean I was naturally an entrepreneur. I wasn't naturally born to be an entrepreneur. I don't think anyone is. I think the truth is, being an entrepreneur is just like anything else. You need to practice at it. You need to be taught how to do it. So part of my mission is to come online each night and try and teach you how to do it. Now, being an entrepreneur might not be for everyone, but do not cross it out as an option for you. Sometimes being an entrepreneur can be a tremendous way of taking control of your own life. So if right now you're sitting there wondering, for example, you're coming out of university and you're wondering how you're going to get a job, perhaps instead of wasting your time the next 3 or 4 months applying for jobs that might be really hard to get or don't exist, why don't you try to start something of your own? Now, I know what you might be thinking. Maybe you're thinking you don't have an idea. I can help you with that. There's many different ways to get going with a business. My own first business was a gardening company, and I can remember it like it was yesterday when I started this business. And I remember thinking to myself, this is not a great idea. I'm going to take care of people's gardens. And then when I started selling and winning work to take care of people's gardens, I hired other people to take care of those gardens and manage the process. And even as I was building this business, I thought to myself, this is not a great idea, but I'll do it until I find that great idea. And then that business turned into a good idea. So I think sometimes being an entrepreneur or starting something isn't about having that Facebook or that brilliant idea that you think is going to initially instantly change the world. It can sometimes be just a question of applying yourself to something. And if you apply yourself to something today, it could take your mind off not being able to get a job or not listening to the news anymore, which means because you're working on something more exciting, which could reduce your anxiety and reduce your mental health danger infliction where you're consumed by the coronavirus problem. So I see lots of reasons why starting your own business is a good idea today. Equally, I know a lot of people that have started their own business and are in the middle of probably a pretty difficult time right now with this virus having hit their business. So my aim on this broadcast is to help both those types of people. Those that are thinking about starting a business and need a bit of help in many different areas, and those that already have a business and are in need of some help. So I ask you guys at the beginning of this broadcast, if you think there's anyone out there that could find the next 50 minutes worth of advice and support useful, please share this broadcast with your network. Please make a comment on the social media feed if you have any questions or you want to know something. I will be live on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook and YouTube for the next 50 minutes, trying to help folks that want to be pushing through the coronavirus and doing something productive. I will just add that starting your own business is not only an amazing experience that I think everyone should at least have experienced it once in their life, there's also a huge opportunity to make a difference in the world and help. So for myself, I wanted to get involved in helping with the coronavirus issue in any way I could, and I'm applying my business skills to try and do that. But everyone has their way of helping. My way is to take the last 30 years of business experience and give it to the business community and the entrepreneurial community. But you can build a business that maybe can help right now solve problems people are facing because of coronavirus, make an impact, and build something where you're in control of your own destiny. For me, that's why being an entrepreneur is the only choice. I never wanted someone else to tell me when to go to work, when to go here, when to go there, and what to do. I always wanted to build a business where I could command my own vision and mission. I could determine the purpose of the business and I can enjoy the process without having someone tell me what to do. So for me, there is no way I could ever work for someone. And so I kind of want other people to feel that and understand that vibe. So that's kind of my mission, is to maybe infect you guys with the whole entrepreneurial spirit. Get you excited about the idea of starting your own business instead of daunted. Get you engaged with the entrepreneurial community, and that community is massive. They will help you. I've had a huge amount of help throughout my career. Without that support of other entrepreneurs, investors and partners, and even my colleagues in my own companies, I wouldn't be a success today. And that's part of the joy of building a business from scratch. I'm proud to say, out of the 17 companies that I built, people that have worked for me in those companies in the past are my friends today. I'm proud of the relationships I built, not with staff, but with people I find become partners and friends in building these purpose-driven businesses throughout my life. So I'll end the introduction by just saying, if we're going to build something, let's build something with purpose. You're going to find a lot of what I talk about links back to purpose, which I know is hard for people to grasp, especially when you need to earn a living right now and pay the bills. But if you get purpose, then everything else falls into place. That's been my experience. So I wanted to start off by answering a question that I got earlier today on a social media comment from Jacob Dwyer. Now, Jacob was asking me how to get an investor for his business. And of course, getting an investor for your business, everybody's business is different. So there's not necessarily one size fits all when it comes to getting an investor. Now, not only have I started 17 companies from scratch, as I mentioned earlier, I built 13 of those companies with no money. But I did build quite a few of my companies by raising money and getting investment, getting investor partners on board and scaling the businesses with investment. At the same time, I have invested in 66 companies, so 66 startups. So I understand how businesses raise money. I've been involved in all sorts of different deals and seeing all sorts of different types of investment structures. And I can basically talk with authority about this question. So it's a good question which I'm going to talk about today in depth. How can you raise money for your business is a question I probably get asked 3 or 4 times a day. Now, in this present climate, a lot of people are also asking, how do I raise money? And particularly, I guess, with the coronavirus hitting people, companies that didn't think they were going to need money now also need to raise money. Now, there are some interesting government schemes that are kicked into place. I personally think, just my personal opinion, a lot of them are very clunky. They slow businesses down by trying to fill out the paperwork. And I'm much more a fan of focusing on building the business than perhaps going down the government route for support. Now, that doesn't mean to say that some of the support structures different countries are offering, and I've been looking at them, aren't good. But my feeling, my personal opinion is, let's build the business. Let's figure out, for example, what strategic investors you need, get them on board and move forward. Now, there is a belief right now that there's no point in raising money, or no one's got any money, and so you can't get an investor. So Joseph asked how to get an investor, and I'm going to say this to start off with. Absolutely, right now is a good time to raise money. There's never an easy time to raise money. And again, I've been through it myself. I've invested in businesses, so I've seen pitches and understand how difficult it is for founders to raise money from me and others. Equally, at the same time, I've raised money for businesses. So I know how hard it is. There is no place on the planet that's easier. Some people in the past have said, well, if you're in Silicon Valley, it's really easy to raise money for your startup. That's not true. You've got a lot of competition in Silicon Valley for funding, so it's not easy. A lot of people have said, I lived in Hong Kong for many years, that Hong Kong's an easy place to raise money because lots of people have got cash. Again, that's true. People do have cash there, but that does not mean to say it's easy to raise money. It's never easy to raise money no matter where you are. So I'm going to talk in depth for a little bit about Joseph's question about how to raise money. So I just throw it out again. If you know anyone out there that wants to start a business and might enjoy this broadcast, please share it now. If there's anyone out there that's looking to raise money for their business, please share this broadcast so that I can help them through this process. And if you have any questions about raising money, or perhaps need money for your business, perhaps you can send me a message in the comments on any of the social media I'm now live on. I will read all the comments, I will reply to all the comments. Equally, you can go on my website, simonscribb.com, and send me a private message on that site, and I will get back to you and I will try to help you. So let's just talk a little bit about the different ways to raise money. Now, there are many different systems in place to raise money. And one of the sites that I really like, that I think is very useful for raising money, is a site called angellist.com. So very simply, ANGELLIST.com. Now, AngelList, just to be clear, I have invested in their fund, the AngelList fund, so I do have a vested interest in the platform, but that's not why I'm recommending it. In fact, I invested in the platform because I believe in the platform. And so if you go online to that site, you're going to see thousands and thousands of investors like me. You're also going to see what we call syndicate investors. So these are people that are, frankly, very savvy at making investments, have a track record at making investments, and you can join them in investing in these different opportunities. Equally, at the same time, if you are a company looking for investors, you can join a syndicate or you can go direct to an angel investor via that platform and get investment. So the first thing I'm going to recommend to Joseph, who asked this question, is that he lists his business on that platform. Now, there is a high chance that you'll get no reaction once you've listed your business, but that doesn't mean to say you shouldn't try. Again, just a caveat, I'm not a shareholder in AngelList. I'm recommending this site because I've seen it work for people. It's worked for my business, and I think it's a useful tool. So angellist.com is a useful tool as a first stage to understanding how to get an investor. Equally, if you go through that site, you're going to quickly find quite a lot of interesting investors. At that point of time when you're looking for it, you should be careful to look also for what those investors are actually investing in. I get a tremendous amount of emails from that site that sometimes are people asking me for money for things I'm just not interested in. So it makes a lot of sense for you guys, if you are looking to raise money for your business, to perhaps spend a bit of time understanding the people that you're communicating with. You'll get not only a high hit rate, you'll also save a lot of time not spamming the wrong people. So once you've identified from that site the people that you think are relevant to your business, and this is an important point, that can add value to your business, can help you not just with money, but maybe with network connections and so on, then approach these people very politely and very carefully. The first thing to remember is these people get hit up a lot for investment. So I have, the cardinal sins for me, and I've had this happen twice today, for example. People will ping me for investment and they get my name wrong. And so it's just little things like that. It might sound silly, and to be honest, in the big picture of things, I have overlooked it. It's not, the business itself is what really matters, and the founder is what really matters to me. But I do think that these little details, if you get it right, can make a huge difference. Then I suggest that if you do communicate with any investor, that you make it a little bit personal. So you get to know what they're about, you understand them. So the people that have got through to me have actually spent a little bit of time understanding the businesses I've been involved in before, like Fluid, my agency business, which I sold to PwC, or they've got to understand my background. I'm very purpose driven, so I'm not very bottom line money driven. Not all investors are like that. A lot of investors are just financially minded, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's how they've been successful, but I'm not like that. So when people start their email off with, we're going to make a 10x return, it doesn't necessarily appeal to me. But if people start off the communication with me and say, I have a business that's going to solve this problem and make the world a better place, as cheesy as that line says, it makes a huge difference to me, because that's what's going to keep that entrepreneur going in my mind, and that's what drives me to engage, because I'm not investing in businesses to make money anymore. I'm investing in businesses because I think I can make a difference, and I enjoy the process of working with motivated, interesting people doing cool stuff. And I have skills to help them do that. So I like to do it because of that. So if you understand the motivation of your investor, suddenly the barriers come down and getting an investor on board is going to be a lot easier. Now, one thing I'll say about raising money is, and it's kind of, I think as an investor I can say this without insulting investors, you don't actually always need an investor. So Joseph, I'm really answering Joseph's question. Folks have just joined who's asking me, how do you raise money for your business? I want to say that you don't always need to raise money. I know it sounds like the easy, well, it's not an easy choice to raise money, but it might seem like the easiest route to go, raise a chunk of money and then you can go out and build your business. But I can tell you, having built 13 companies myself, not raising money, in some respects it was easier than the businesses that I did build up that did raise money. Why? Well, once you get an investor on board, in many respects, they become somewhat of a boss. You have to manage them. You have to be very clear on communication. You have to manage their expectations. You have to get them engaged in the business, which means management. And at the same time, sometimes agendas might not be aligned. So an investor might suddenly need their money back, or they might decide to invest in your competitor, and hedge their bet, which I've seen happen. So suddenly you've got someone in your company who's working for your competitor. So you've just got to be very, very careful when you think that getting an investor on board is going to solve all your problems. It doesn't necessarily do that. So Joseph, I just want to say, I've started off with talking a little bit about how you could raise money and how to do it, but I just want to throw in there that just be sure you really need to raise money, because it's not necessarily going to translate into a easier ride. In fact, I do think the longer you go without having an investor, the better, because you can build up the business around what you want. You have yourself to answer to, you have your customers to work for, and that's a great focus. If you have to manage a whole group of investors, and I for example, a startup yesterday reached out to me that has 26 investors already on board their business, which might sound good, but that's a whole army you've got to manage, and different needs within those 26 people at different points. And so hugely stressful actually, when all you really want to do is just run your business. Now, I do want to talk positively about getting an investor, because if you get the right investor on board, they can become like a co-founder and they can support you. So I'm not saying don't get an investor, but I do strongly recommend that you think first whether you really need it. I just want to make sure I keep saying it, because a lot of people do think jump straight to getting an investor, and I just want to say that's not always the best route. Now, let's assume you found the investors that you want. One of the things that people find strange to hear when I say it to them, but I just want to make sure that people get this, is that you want to make sure you don't raise too much money, or for that matter, raise money from the wrong people. Now, there are cases where people can raise money, for example, from family and friends, and sometimes that's recommended. So a lot of institutional investors actually like to see that your family and friends have invested in your business, and I can understand why. The only thing I would say about it is it's not always a good idea. Now, what can happen, and you may have seen this play out in certain situations on shows like Dragon's Den, that you may sell 1% of your company to a friend at a very high valuation, because they're going to support you no matter what. So you sell a low percentage for a high amount of money, and it gives your company a high valuation. But then it makes it very difficult for you to raise money from people that see themselves as value adds, because you've set a very high bar on the valuation. The same applies to getting what I'm going to call novice angel investors in. So people that have a lot of goodwill and want to help, they invest in your business and the valuation is wrong. Then when you come to institutional investment, so let's call it Series A, Series B, which you guys can Google if you're not quite sure what I'm talking about, or I can go into this another time, but you do find that you get stuck with the wrong type of investment structure. So like I'm just mentioning a moment ago, where a startup I approached me, they've got 26 investors on board. That's too many people on your cap table, and as you grow, it gets more and more complicated to keep all those people happy. So I call it herding cats. It gets very complicated. So I'm just seeing a few posts. People are saying, do I answer questions? Yes, I absolutely do answer questions. I'm here to answer questions. I'm right now actually answering a question from Joseph. He asked me how to raise money, and I'm just stepping through that process very quickly now. I say very quickly, I think it's a very important question, so I want to do it thoroughly, and so that's what I'm doing now. But if you do throw your questions down to the comments, once I finish this answer on how do you raise money, then I'll go and check and I will answer all the other questions that you guys are asking. So please carry on and ask questions. So just finishing off. So basically, there are lots of ways to raise money. I have also suggested to people in the past, if you don't want to raise money for an angel investor, or you don't want to raise money from family and friends, or you can't raise money from institutional investors for one reason or another, you don't have the network or the contacts, which frankly are out there on the internet for you to find, there are a couple of things to think about. First of all, if you just build a great business, you'll find that investors find you. Most of the very successful startups out there just went out and built a big user base, for example, or a high profile business, and investors will climb over each other to get to you. Even during coronavirus, that is the case. People are sitting on money, interest rates are near zero, the stock market is risky, people are sitting on funds that they've raised already, they're looking for deals. So when people say to me, we're going to wait until the coronavirus is gone before raising money, my advice is, why not try? These investors are sitting at home like me, looking for people to help, looking to keep themselves busy, and actually they have more time than ever because they're not stuck in meetings all day long. So I actually think it's a really good time to raise money. And ironically, if everyone out there is thinking don't raise money, think how quiet it is for the people that normally invest. So a perfect time to start reaching out. But if you don't feel like any of the tracks I've just mentioned are for you, there is another way to go. Now, it depends on your business model. And I know Joseph, who asked me the question about how to raise money, I did a bit of research on his company. It's a product business. One of the good things about product businesses is there's many other ways to raise money now, not just from investors like me. So for example, you can go on a crowdfunding site and you can actually show your product in advance to the public, the people that might buy your product. They can buy it in advance, and then you can get the money in and then go away and make that product, then deliver it to customers, and you never need to bring any investors into your business. Equally, you can do something called equity crowdfunding, and there's places like Indiegogo.com and so on that you can go on to these sites and you can list your business, and you can basically have two options. One is you have a product-based business and people can buy the product in advance. Maybe you give them something special, maybe the product's signed, maybe it's a limited edition, and then they can give you the money you need to go out and build your business. The key, of course, is you then actually go and make that product and you take that money and you do some good. Because if you do it right, you can have a real loyal fan base there to then scale up. Excuse me. Equally, at the same time, there are equity crowdfunding businesses, so you can put your business out there, business platforms like HQed, and you can say, right, this is what I'm doing, this is what the business is going to achieve. In my view, you need to include what this business is solving problem-wise, so what problem are you going to solve, and then you can put it out there to a community on these platforms that will then take equity in your business as a unit. So it's no longer just an angel investor or institutional investors that can invest in your business. There's a whole slew of opportunities and options for you if you want to raise money. So that's the quick download on raising money. To recap my view, if you're looking to raise money right now for your business, there is no better time than right now. Don't wait. If you're looking for maybe some leads, some contacts for potential investors, I do recommend sites like AngelList. If you're looking to perhaps use a more automated system and don't want to manually find these investors, then you can go on things like HQed and do a platform-based equity crowdfunding, or you can go on platforms like Indiegogo and basically raise money by a kind of pre-selling product model, so you can get the money in to then go and execute on your business idea. So that's basically my view. Now I'm getting a question here. What are they trying to raise money for? So I'm actually an investor. I've invested in lots of startups. I am also an entrepreneur. I've started 17 companies of my own. So I'm just talking through, someone asked me a question about how to raise money, so I'm just talking through that answer, giving them the details. And so I basically, if anyone out there is looking to raise money, if you watch the first half an hour of this live, it will give you the download on what I think you need to do if you need to raise money. And I was just trying to conclude, before your question popped up, Franco, about how you could do it. So hopefully my recap helped. Basically, you can go angel investors, family and friends. There's platforms out there that help you, like crowdfunding platforms and equity crowdfunding platforms. Equally, I sometimes say to people, don't be shy, just throw it out on social media. I've got this business and looking to raise money, anyone want to support me? At the very least, it creates brand awareness for what you're doing. And I also think it's a bit like telling people you're going to go and get fit, and then people see you a week later and you haven't done anything. So sometimes saying it out loud in the universe can kind of spur you on to get out there and make it happen. So that's it. Right, I now am going to take questions, so I'm going to look online on the different platforms I'm live on. So I'm live on Facebook, I'm live on Twitter, I'm live on TikTok, and I'm live on YouTube. And I'm just going to have a look now to see what questions have come in and see how I might be able to help people with the different questions they might have about how to start a business or how to innovate their business based on what's presently happening. So give me a second while I just sign in and just check what's going on. Okay. Seems that nice and busy. Right. Okay, yeah. Looks like I've got a couple of good questions come in. Hey Luke, thanks for coming online again. Nice to see you. Hi Franco, thanks very much. Nice to see you. Appreciate you joining. Hi Samantha, welcome. Thanks everyone for joining my live tonight. I appreciate it. I'm here to help entrepreneurs. Any small business owners that are stuck right now, I'm here to try and help them get through this difficult time. Hi Carter, nice to see you. I also want to encourage people to start a business of their own, and I want to help you do it. So just to mention, I made a video today that's now live on my YouTube page, 7 business ideas that you could start today that could make a big impact in the world and help people during the coronavirus crisis. I've just put that live on my YouTube, 7 business ideas. So a lot of people tell me they'd like to start a business, but they don't have an idea. So I wanted to remove that barrier, I guess, and give people some free ideas that I think are worth billion dollar ideas. I think they're worth a fortune. I think that they're very purposeful ideas. I would say that they're my ideas, but I'm giving them to free to you guys to kind of do 2 things. One, maybe one of those ideas will appeal to you and you can figure one of them out and make it work for you, or just get your mind working around what you could be doing right now, because some of the best ideas, best businesses in the world today were started during a financial crisis or during a difficult time. This is such an incredibly interesting moment in history where if you look at it positively for 1 second, which I know is hard considering how difficult it is, but there is a lot of opportunity, a lot of chance for you to make an impact, create something people need. A lot of people are stuck at home right now, for example. If you could help them reduce the mental health stress of being stuck at home by creating an app or creating a business that does that, I think that you will be more fulfilled in life, and you might just be the next Bill Gates or Elon Musk or so on. Now, let's get to some questions. So I have to refresh the page again. Hi Hakan, thank you for joining. Hi Mark, thanks for joining. Okay, so I've got a very interesting question from Daniel. Daniel, okay, he's saying, I like your idea that starting a business is a good idea, but will it not make my life more stressful? I like the question, Daniel, because you're being honest, and I think sometimes people see starting a business as a stressful thing, and I totally understand why. When I read that question, what goes through my mind is there's always, and I mean no disrespect, but there's always a lot of reasons why people don't start a business. There's 20 reasons not to start a business. Frankly, there's 20 reasons not to clean the house. There's 20 reasons to just lay all day. And I think sometimes we need to fight back and not let our laziness win. And I think that there's also an element of they see fear as a negative. So people don't want to be fearful. So I start a business, oh, what if it doesn't work? And they let fear stop them. But my theory is that fear is actually an asset. It's an instinct in us designed to help us push through things. So I think fear is a positive thing. And so when I feel fear around something, actually I embrace it. I head towards that fear and I push through. So 20 years ago, I had a fear of public speaking. And then I went and did it 1,000 times and stood on stage, thousands of people watching, and overcame that fear. And now I crave fear. It's such a powerful tool. Now there's a big difference between fear and panic. So I always tell people, right now businesses that are suffering, my thing is, pivot, don't panic. But I never think having fear is a bad thing. So when I read Daniel's question, and just to read it out for some people, I just saw a lot of people just join online. I like your idea of starting a business, Simon, but is it a good idea to start a business right now, and won't it make my life more stressful? My instinct is to say to you that stress can be a good thing. Stress can be useful. and it can push you through. Now, I think there's all sorts of different types of stress. Sometimes if you're stressed, everyone has stress. So sometimes for me, it's a bit like if you go and do exercise, it can relieve your stress. But going and doing exercise, the mental fight you need to do to go and push yourself to exercise, which I think we all go through, is a different type of stress. But once you push through, you've done the exercise, think how good you feel at the end of it. And basically, I feel like building a business is like that. Yes, getting into the routine of being self-motivated and building something up and ignoring the naysayers who say it's not going to work. All of those things cause stress, but once you push through the other side, it's an incredibly powerful, freeing thing. And so, for me, I feel like starting your own business is very stressful at the beginning, but over time, if you do it right and it's a purposeful business and you really enjoy it, then actually it becomes less stressful than working for someone else. Working for someone else, in some respects, you are beholding to their emotions and their decisions, and that can be pretty stressful. Look at the situation now where lots of people are suddenly laid off or they don't have control over their own destiny. And so for me, it's a lot less stressful over time to build your own business than it is to work for someone else. Now, of course, working for someone else at the beginning can be wonderful, but I think actually for me that is more stressful over time because I'm not in control of my own destiny. Someone else is deciding what that mission of that business is, or what the vision of that business is, or what the purpose of that business is. So if my moral code doesn't align with it, for example, I have to still go along with it, that would kill me. And I think it does kill people. They suppress it, and to me that's like long-term deep stress, which I think leads to mental health issues. So for me, to answer Daniel's question, I think you have to embrace fear. I think you have to start something that makes you fearful and then come out the other side. And yes, there'll be stressful moments, but long term, if you make it work and you're enjoying it every day, that'll be much more that'll be a lot less stressful and much better for your mental health than working in a business you don't enjoy, working for someone you don't enjoy working for, or frankly sitting around hoping that someone's going to give you the job that you want or need. So being in control of your own destiny, being able to decide what you work on, how much effort you put into things equals reward, to me is a lot less stress over time. So that's my quick take on Daniel's question. I'd love to hear from other people listening right now what they think. If you've started a business, I'm sure right now a lot of business owners are feeling stressed. This is a particularly unique and difficult moment, but ultimately there is absolutely no way in my mind that working for yourself is I think it's less stressful than working for someone else. Definitely in the long term, of course, there are stressful moments when you work for someone else, and so I use this moment as an example. If you're suddenly laid off and you don't have a job anymore, you weren't in control of the business, you didn't have control over what happened to your life. Whereas if you work for yourself, ultimately you are in control of your own life. Now that doesn't mean to say that it's not hard being self-employed. It definitely is. And there are some things that you need to be very careful of mental health-wise and stress-wise to not let it get the better of you, but frankly we all have that problem no matter what we do and whatever we're working on. So I just saw a message from Bradley Taylor on my social media channel, and he said, I'd rather work 70 hours a week for myself than 24 hours a week for someone else's goal. I think, Bradley, I couldn't have said it better myself. It's it basically, when you work for yourself, if you're doing what you love, the business has purpose, the amount of hours you work just almost become insignificant. So I'm working for myself. It's 8:40 p.m. on a Saturday night. I don't mind. I'm doing what I love, which is helping entrepreneurs, helping small business owners, helping people like myself, my tribe, get through this difficult moment. I'm giving free advice, and I love it. There's no shareholder telling me I can't give free advice, I've got to charge for it. There's no boss telling me that I need to be doing something else instead. This is what I love. This is what I love doing. Now, I just want to caveat and say that doesn't mean to say you shouldn't work for someone. Like, I'm actually hiring people right now. I'm looking for some social media folks to join me. I want to get my message out to more people. I want to help more entrepreneurs. I just saw a few days ago a news report saying 800,000 small businesses might go under just in the UK in the next few months. I want to help those people push through, break through and survive. I also want to help people innovate those businesses. That's 800,000 people just in the UK I want to communicate with. So I need help to do that, so I'm hiring people to do that. And so if my mission aligns with the people that join me, I don't see them as staff, I see them as partners. And so there are cases where working for someone can feel like and should feel like and can be like you're in partnership with that person. So that's how I tried to build my businesses in the past. That's how I feel about employment. I don't employ people, I bring in people to share, join me in my mission. And so then you can change the dynamic. So it's not, I'm saying, in a way I'm also saying maybe work for people that have a similar moral code to you, similar purposes to you, then that's wonderful. I just don't think that's very common. I think a lot of people have to work for companies that they don't like, or they have to work for businesses that don't have the same moral code as them. And I think I'm saying that, you know, if you have that choice of working for perhaps an organization that doesn't excite you or starting something for yourself, you've got to start something for yourself. But if you can work with people that interest you, they've got a mission that appeals to you, their purpose and their values match with yours, it can be a wonderful experience working with someone. So just to point that out, I'm not saying don't ever work for people, but I am saying make sure you work for people that perhaps fulfill you. It'll be a lot less stressful if you start your own business, and I think it's a lot less stressful if you work with people that you have the same core values. So so I just got a note from Amanda saying I can help you with social media. Okay, thanks very much. Well, please go onto my website, simonscribb.com, and just send me a direct message about that. Love to talk to you about that. I'm definitely in need of help right now to get my message out there and make sure that we're helping lots of small business owners and entrepreneurs right now when they need it. So, okay, let me go back to seeing what other questions I've got. I just want to say, Daniel, I hope my answer to your question was good. If you're still unsure about whether or not you should start a business of your own, please go onto my website, simonscribb.com, and send me a direct message. And I will do my very best to help you through this process of starting your own business. So let's go online and see who else has asked a question. Okay, so I'm on quite a few different channels. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok and YouTube, and so just checking each of the channels to see where the latest questions are. Oh, thanks Luke, appreciate that. I threw out some ideas on my YouTube channel today. I put 7 ideas live that are, I think, billion-dollar ideas that anyone can start with no money and can start from home today. I've just put these 7 ideas on my YouTube channel, and I just got a nice message from Luke Westwood who said, I love your child-friendly Zoom idea. So thank you very much for that, Luke. Please build it. My 2.5-year-old, he needs that, so please build it and let me know what I can do to help you build it. But I love throwing these ideas out there for free to help people think about what ideas are relevant right now with the coronavirus impact on our lifestyles. There are huge opportunities to start a business, so I want people to do that. So I threw 7 ideas out there on YouTube today, and so it's nice to hear that some people really like them. Love to see some people do those ideas, and maybe I can help you make them happen. Okay, so I've got a question from Martha, and she is asking, I have been thinking to start a business. I read that as a startup it's good to fail, but I don't understand why. Could you explain to me what this saying means? Okay, Martha. Yeah. Do you know, to be honest, I see a lot of startup sayings out there that I find strange, and so the saying that you're talking about, it's good to fail is the startup mantra. Or fail fast, which also sounds kind of counterintuitive, I guess, to a lot of people. I think just drawing on my own real life experiences, the businesses where I have been tremendously successful, and I've had some big successes in my career, I think I could put a lot of those successes down to luck. So when I review my successes, it's pretty hard to pinpoint why it was successful. Of course, there are certain ingredients in there. You can argue that I worked hard and so on, but I think it's a huge part of it is luck. Now, I'm just being honest. I think a lot of people don't like to admit that it was luck because they like to talk about how brilliant they were. And I have to, and I do understand the sentiment. But that being said, my successes were a lot to do with luck. My failures, however, I can pinpoint where I went wrong and learn something from them. And I've had quite a lot of failures. Again, I've put up, my £50 million failure on YouTube recently. So if you want to go check out some of my massive failures, you can go on my YouTube channel and watch some of those clips. So I've had some massive failures, and I've learned so much from those failures. And I guess, Martha, that's what that saying's about. It's about, if you fail, you don't really fail unless you don't get back on the horse, as it were. If you just give up, then and you fail, then yes, I guess that's it. But if you fail in something and you learn, then it's an incredible investment. And so I have failed so many times, and I sometimes use the analogy of like it's a battle scar. You've gone through a war, and you've learned stuff about how to be better in that business environment, how to be stronger, how to be faster, how to think differently. So out of the 17 companies that I've started, 3 of them have been financial successes. The rest have just been incredible learning experiences. And so, to reiterate, I think my successes I can attribute to luck. And I haven't learned as much from my successes as I have learned from my failures. My failures allowed me to have my successes. And so that's the point. The final analogy I could use is, if you're a baby, well, we all were babies once, just to be clear. And so, when you start walking and you fall over for the first time, and you maybe bump your head or something, you learn as a baby to be a bit more careful when you're walking around certain things, and you learn from that bump and that knock. And so eventually you learn to walk and hopefully walk without bumping your head all the time. And I think if you didn't, if you just bumped your head once and then never got up again because you said that walking stuff's quite dangerous, then you wouldn't learn how to walk. And I think being a startup or a new business is like that. You have to bump your head a few times, you have to fall off something high a few times, you have to learn these different elements of life, and then you stand up strong and you can walk for the rest of your life. So, I mean, even in the last business that I did, I made so many mistakes, and it's my 17th company. You think I would have learned all the lessons by now, but I basically love it. I love those lessons. That's how I've learned. I started my own first business at 15, as I mentioned before, and that's that early learnings allowed me to retire at 40. Frankly, if I had started my business later, it's less failures, and therefore takes longer to get to a point where you know what you're doing. So, Martha, I hope I've answered your question. That's what that saying is about. I know these sayings are a bit confusing. I also don't like the saying fail fast. I think the point behind that saying is that it's better to basically realize that your idea isn't going to work, stop and start something else, or pivot, than it is to just keep going with something and die slowly, because time is so valuable. That's the reason the fail fast phrase is out there. But there is a counterbalance to the fail fast philosophy, and I think that sometimes persistence, consistency, following a purpose, not revenue, means that you will follow through. And so there's a counterbalance to the fail fast mantra for me, which is stick to it, follow your purpose, and money and all those other things will follow, but they're not the important thing anyway. So if you have purpose in your business, then you'll be able to follow through, and that's just a counterbalance. And so you need to take some of these sayings, Martha, with a pinch of salt. It's a good question, and I'm glad you asked it, because I do think it is people get a bit confused about some of these startup sayings, so I like to help clarify them. It took me years to understand them too, so I love to share with people what they mean. Okay, folks, so it's been an hour. I've answered a few questions. Hopefully I've been useful. I will now go offline, but I will go read all the comments from everyone. So everyone that's made a contribution this evening, thank you very much. I will go read all your comments and I will reply to you. If you found what I've shared this evening useful, please share my broadcast with people. Please start a watch party in Facebook and let people know that there's someone out here in London that has entrepreneurial experience that's going live every night at 8 p.m. to try and help anyone stuck right now, anyone that is finding it difficult to re-engineer their existing business, considering they've been hit by coronavirus. I can help you. Equally, if you're thinking of starting a business, and I think there is no better time than now to start a business, I want to help you. So to do that, I know that there's a lot of barriers as to why people don't start a business. For example, you will say you don't have money. The broadcast tonight explains how you get money. So please, if you think anyone out there is saying they can't start a business, they don't have money, please share this broadcast with them. You can also go onto my YouTube channel, which has 5 ways to start a business with no money. And so that video explains different ways from credit and structural systems you can use to start a business with no money. I don't want money to be an excuse not to start a business. Equally, I want people will say they can't start a business because they don't have an idea. So I've shared 7 ideas on my YouTube channel today just to get you thinking. Frankly, ideas are easy. And so you can take my 7 ideas. I think each of my ideas are a $1 billion company idea. I'm giving them to you for free on my YouTube channel right now. I don't want you to have any excuse to start a business. And frankly, just to leave this broadcast with this heavy note that millions of people are getting laid off right now. And so those millions of people can spend months trying to find a job that doesn't exist, or they can take control of their own destiny and start something. And you don't need money to start something. So it's just a mindset. So if I can get those millions of people out there thinking about a business idea or getting involved in starting a business, I think not only would it be good for their mental health, I think it would also potentially turn into something very special for them. So I want to help do that. So if there's anyone out there suffering right now that needs to hear these words, please share them. If you know anybody out there that would find my content useful, please share it. I will just say I make no money from any of this. This costs me money to put out all this content, and I absolutely feel it's my obligation to do so right now. I want to help people that are stuck, but I would really, really appreciate it if you guys would share my content and give this content to people that need it right now to get through this difficult time. So I'm relying on you to get this information to people that need it. Equally, if you need anything and you have been a bit too shy to ask in the comment sections on my social media today, feel free to go to my website, simonscribb.com, and send me a message on there. I will get back to you. I had over 160 messages today. I got back to every single person. I pride myself on taking the time to get back to people that take their time to come talk to me. So please do feel free to go to my website and drop me a note. Equally, you can join my main list on simonscribb.com and get my weekly newsletters on tips and ins and outs of being an entrepreneur. Try and help anyone out there that needs that. Please feel free to join. So that's it, folks. I'll be online again tomorrow night, Sunday night, 8 p.m. London time. I'll be here for an hour every night until coronavirus is gone. Try my very best to help anybody out there that wants to start a business get going, and anybody out there struggling with their existing business get through this difficult moment. So please help me spread the word that there's someone here to help. Entrepreneurs, you're not alone. There's a whole community of entrepreneurs, and me included, that want to help you. And feel free to ping me with any questions you have. I will answer them. Thank you, and good night.